think for us, when we see kind of digital disengage employees, there's a few key factors. I think one is really how easy is it to do. So I think simplicity, employees have lots to do in their day job, so it's all about kind of how do we make it really simple for them to do it. I think the second one is then kind of relevance and personalization. And we really see that there's a big challenge in the market about how do I make it relevant to each individual, particularly if you've got an organization with huge diversity. There's a real challenge in trying to make sure it's really relevant. So when we're designing for digital, I think you have to really try and leverage whatever technology you're using to try and account for both of those. So make it as simple as possible and really try and make it as personal and as relevant as possible. I think when it comes to digital, what we're seeing people review at the moment is really kind of taking a step back and looking at the whole end-to-end experience around pretty much each benefit. So I think what we've seen a lot of organizations do is digitally transform parts of that journey. So they'll have employees going into an online platform and making their selections, and those selections kind of flowing through payroll. And that's great, that's great to have that experience. But I think at either end of that is really where we're seeing that those parts of that journey haven't digitized quite as quickly. So at the front of that, we've seen, and we've been working with clients on things like moving away from kind of brochures and paper to using things like augmented reality, to using tools that enable you to make it really personalized and really targeted up front. So people who are like you also chose these kind of benefits, and so that kind of collaborative filtering type personalization. And then at the other end, what we've been doing is really working with providers to look at, okay, so once it has gone through payroll, how do I receive information about that benefit, the policy documentation, how digital is that experience once it's gone through payroll? And so really what we've been working on is how do you kind of digitize that whole end-to-end journey, at the same time keeping in mind, keeping it simple and really personalized and specific to the individual. I think the change that's happening in and around digital, and particularly with regards to benefits, it's always difficult to predict any kind of time horizon because it's all moving so fast. But I think there's an inevitability that mobile will continue to be really important. Inevitably, I think that what we'll see is that machine learning and that whole branch of artificial intelligence will start to have more of a bearing. And I think in practical terms, I think when it comes to things like machine learning, it's a term bandied around a lot, but I think what that will mean is you will have the software and the technology helping you to make decisions. It will take in data, it will take in information about you, and it will really enable you to personalize those choices. And so there's some challenges there with kind of regulatory environments and what's advice versus what's the technology kind of just helping you. And I think we've definitely had some open conversations with the FCA and people like that about how far you might be able to push that. But I think that what we're definitely going to see is this trend towards more tools that assist you in that experience, because there's still a large chunk of employees that certainly we've seen, and certainly research shows, is that they're making choices without necessarily understanding the whole picture. And I think therefore that we'll see a lot more kind of assisted kind of choice and decision making that goes with that. I think alongside that as well, I think kind of digital as we move forwards, I think we'll inevitably see much more around conversational user interfaces. So being able to just text your system backwards and forwards and request things, whether that's booking a day off on holiday, whether that's doing a particular benefit, am I covered for X? I think we'll start to see that kind of automation come in as well, because that feeling of texting is so natural to us and it's so quick and easy to do that I think you'll see that kind of really come to the front in the market as well. Yeah, I think with wider HR transformation and that whole kind of digital agenda, for pretty much all of our clients, they're either going through or have just been through the rollout of a kind of global HR platform. So typically, SAP, Oracle, Workday, names we will all have heard. And for that period in time, you tend to find it obviously consumes a lot of resources in and around HR. It's new processes, it's all changed. But one of the biggest things that we see happening as part of that is the whole data piece typically gets cleaned up and the whole organization understands better its people, the structure, where they are, what they have. And I think what it's enabling Reward to now do is to really roll out some very strategic things. So using technology, using far cleaner data, and really starting to bring all of that together. So things like being able to do global rollouts off the back of that, being able to have all your reward and benefit data in one place and being able to start to report centrally on that, budget centrally on that. We've got clients where we're doing international rollouts where they don't even know what it costs them in some of these countries other than trawling through invoices. They've got thousands of providers globally. And so I think off the back of that transformation, I think what we're seeing is this big shift in reward of kind of away from that kind of spreadsheet mentality to using technology, using systems and using people analytics to really help you drive kind of a very strategic outcome. And so that's probably the biggest shift that we've been seeing as part of that change in kind of wider HR transformation.